So hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. How are you doing? So it's been long that I make programming videos last. It was due to my job, but presently I think I'm less busy, so I have to make videos and create more projects and also walk you through the projects that I've created and how the functionalities are going. Presently, I'm working on a social media web application and I've created some endpoints at the backend side because the project is going to have the front end and also the backend side. So I'm contemplating on making something like a thread. Most of these social media applications, they have the same functionality, be it you are following someone or you're subscribing or you are liking video, you are on liking a video, you are some platform call it thumbs up and thumbs down. So all these things are following the same pattern. So when you get the function, when you understand the architecture of these functionalities, it is quite easier for you to work on the back end and create all these functionalities. Is the only thing that is different is the way the front end is being structured. Their front end is being structured. So I have done some endpoints for the back end. So I'm contemplating on making the front end look like thread. I'm looking at thread, I'm looking at Facebook. Those are the two platforms I'm looking at um designing the front end like that. So but first of all, what is on ground now is that I've done the back end. I've created about I'm looking about 20 endpoints. So I want to test those endpoints and also explain each lines of code so that if you are interested in doing something like that, you will understand the process and the architecture through which I created these APIs. So now let's dive right into my video. But before we dive into the video, please, if you are here to subscribe to my YouTube channel, kindly smash the subscription button so that you can support me, and also like this video so that the video can go viral and see more people will have access to the video. Thank you. So let's dive right into my video. Before I start testing the endpoints, I think it will be very good for us to talk about the technologies used in this project. The project is a social media web application that is going to be a user will be able to post, will be able to see reply to their posts, they'll be able to send a message to users, and they will have followers and they will have followings too. So also I'm going to implement real-time chatting into the application so that you can send message and at real time it's going to be delivered to the person using socket.io. So but presently the project is going to be a Mernstack project, which means that I'm going to use MongoDB, React, Express and Node.js in creating the project. But presently I've done some endpoints, and those endpoints is what I want to test for you guys. So on the back end, I want to first of all talk about the technologies used. So let's go to package.json. We are going to see those things that were used. First of all, I use Node.js, which is the runtime upon which this project is being done. Express.js is the framework that is I'm using on this runtime to create this project. So this is the Express. I also use MongoDB for database management. That is why you see MongoZR is the npm package for MongoDB. So also I use Bcrypt. Bcrypt is for hashing and comparing of password. That is the industry standard for password, for securing password. So also I use Cloudinary for uploading and destruction of images. So the images that people upload, their profile pictures, the images they upload with their post, this is going to be stored in Cloudinary, and I retrieve back the URL, which is going to be stored to the post or to the profile of each of the users on the platform. So and we retrieve whenever the person is calling for the image, we retrieve it back from Cloudinary and display to the person. This colors is used to beautify my the response here inside my terminal here. That one doesn't have really much thing to do. It's just to beautify console logs that shows inside this place. I have cookie passer to pass cookie attached with the request coming from the front end so that we can authorize the client side. So that is for cookie passer. When we are creating a cookie, when user is being logged in, we are going to send that cookie as HTTP only to the front end. So this is the cookie passer that allows us to pass those cookie and check if and check for the person that is trying to access the web application, so that we can know if we are going to give the person access or we are not going to give the person access. I use CORS. CORS stands for cross origin resource sharing. This is for allowing cross origin resource sharing between the front end and the back end. So it will allow smooth communication between the front end and the back end since they are on different ports. So also I use .env. .env is for saving secret keys so that other people will not have access to sensitive key used in creating this web application. That is what .env is for. So element, I use element for security enhancement in Node.js. That is what elements is used for. So I also have JSON web token. JSON web token is the one we are using to sign and to also verify tokens for each of the users so that we can authorize them based on the token inside that we created using this JSON web token. Is for authentication and authorization. It's one of the industry standard for authentication and authorization. So also I have talked about Mongoose. That's the one that I use in connecting my server with the database. So also let's talk about Malta. This is the package used for multi-path and form data file handling. If you want to send files from the front end, before the backend can be able to communicate with the front end, we need we need to either use Malta or we can convert the format of the file from the front end to a base 64 format. Then it's going to be readable by the backend. Then after that we can also use Cloudinary to push it. We can push it to Cloudinary and get the string from Cloudinary and save. So also I have a node mailer. This is what I use for sending emails to users, like email verification when the user register. This is what I use to send a message to the user to verify and confirm their email so that I will be preventing users from using email that does not exist. So those are the what's it called, the packages that I'll be using to create this backend of the social media web application that I want to create and test, that I've created and test for you guys. So let's talk about the folder structure. So inside there I have the index.js. This is the entry point of my application. So inside this place, this is when the application starts and the front end want to communicate with the back end. It's going to first of all get into this place. It's this place that connects to all other files and folders inside this backend. So every files and folder will be connected to this place for the application to really work. So I also have the utils. This is the utils. Inside these utils, I have the email templates. This is the email templates folder where I have change password templates, and I also have a verify email templates. I also have the Cloudinary file here. The Cloudinary files houses all the Cloudinary functions that I use in uploading and destroying images sent to Cloudinary. The Cloudinary destroy is the function that destroys any image. I also have a handle uploads there, whereby it handle uploads of images to Cloudinary and return with the object result from Cloudinary, which I store inside my database. I have JSON web token. JWT.js is for my to generate token and to verify token that I used in authenticating users on this web application. Inside this place also, I also have the node mailer, which is for the one I use in sending emails. So I created transporter and I use the transporter to send the email using the email templates that I have here. So this email template I is a template that each one has its own template for to verify email and to also change password whenever user wishes to change their password. So those are the files and folders inside the utils. Inside routes, I have the post routes, which houses all the endpoints that we are going to be using for this web application. I also have the user routes, which is going to house all the endpoints for registration, logout, resend email, forgot password, allow password, and all the endpoints that we are going to be using on the user part. So also we have the model, which has three different files. We have the post model, which is the one that is communicating all the things from the server to the database. Also, we have the token models, which is the one that is communicating the token that we are using for um, email verification and also change password is going to be stored inside this collection. Then we also have the user model. This is the one that controls all the affairs of the users with the inside the database. So apart from that, we have the middleware function. We have the error middleware for custom error handling. We have the Malta for files communication with the backend from the front end. So we apart from that, I have the folder for where the function that connects the server with the databases. I also have the controller. Inside the controller, I have the post controller, which is housing all the logics for creating post, getting post, delete post, the like and unlike post, reply to post, and to get feed post of each particular user. I also have the user controller, which is the one that is handling all the functionality, the logic for user creation, logout of user, follow and follow user, email verifications. These are all the endpoints inside this place. So let's start testing this endpoint. In testing this endpoint, I'll be using Postman for testing. So already I have the workspace here where I have I call this one social media app with chat. So I have the user routes folder, which is going to communicate all the endpoints with the for the user part. Is going to house all the endpoints. So I also have the post routes. So let's start for first by creating the a user. But before I create user, let's go to our MongoDB Compass is what I use. I didn't use I do for the one I pushed online. I have connected my atlas with it because it has gone live. So we have this is the database. We have the post, we have the tokens, we have the users collection inside this place. So now if you go to post, there is no post presently, there is no tokens here, and presently there is no user. So now let's start by creating a user. So this user, the name of the user is Adenike Adebolu. The email is votinggivers@gmail.com. We have the username, the password, and the confirm password. So now from the logic here, let me explain the logic here for you guys. The logic for the backend is expecting username, name, email, password, and confirm password from the front end, from the request of body of the front end. So apart from that, so when we receive those values, we first of all check if the value does not exist by using object of values, and the values of the request of body, we put the request of body as the argument here, and we test for the availability of values inside it. And if there is no value, that's why if each of the values, each of the value these values, we have so many of it, it's like an array. So we pick one of each of it and check if there is nothing inside. So if there is nothing, if it's empty, so we call the variable is empty. So if it's empty, we return back to the to the front end that with this message that all fields are required and is a status of 400 and success is false. So now if you are testing out this point, we are going to, like, if we decide not to put anything inside this place now, it's going to return with that message and say that all fields Oh, sorry, I haven't started the server. So to start the server, first of all, cd to the backend, because we are starting the backend side. Then we do npm start. So npm start. Where do I get the npm start? If you come to the package.json inside this script, you see start, then I've downloaded node1 as a global dependency. So it's going to take the root folder, root files that I said is the entry point, and start it. So it's already started the server on port 5000, and the MongoDB database at Compass has also started and are connected with the database. So now let's go back to the user controller. Now if you want to send the information to the backend, like this postman is simulating the front end part of any web application. So you see, if I send now, it's supposed to return with message all fields are required. So if you want to know what is coming from there, that's what we are expecting. So if you console.log request.body, you will see, if I save now and I send this back to let it connect with the server. I send it back to the, see it's saying office are required. And if you come here, if you see the console log, see that it's expecting name, which name is empty, email, username, password, and confirm password. So after that, now we have tested for this one. So now if that place is empty, if any of those values are empty, it returns with that message. Then we also need to test for to prevent SSS attack. In other words, what am I trying to say? For example, some people might want to act funny. They might want to put input codes inside your database by using some kind of values like this to input code. In order to prevent things like this, that is why I use regex. I created this variable forbidding chars regex at the top here. So I created it at the top here. So it's going to check for unwanted parameters to be prevented from entering to our database. So if I try to send now, you see invalid character for feed name. This is the feed name. So because of this, that's why this is what is trying to return now. Then I have for the email, I have for, let me put something like that inside the username, and I want to show you all the things I've decided to work on. Invalid character for field username. So this is what is complaining all about. So also let's continue now. It's going to complain invalid input for email. So, and also if you decide to type something like this that is not a format of email, is going to also complain that it's an invalid character for email. So also password must have I have implemented strong password. So password must contain at least one character, one special character, one lowercase letter, and one uppercase letter. Also it must be minimum of 8 characters and maximum of 20 characters. So let's test for that. For example, it doesn't have uppercase, so it's supposed to return with a message that password must contain the this information. So also if I put the uppercase but I decide to reduce the number of characters to less than 8, let's say we have something less than 8 like this, it's also still going to return with this condition which you have to meet before it goes forward. So now this one has met the condition, but what of if the password and confirm password does not match? So it's supposed to return with another message, password and confirm password do not match. So if you, until you ensure that all those conditions are met before you can go forward. So this is what I have implemented in that part. So let's go forward and continue from there. So after that, I will also want to check if there is a user with such these two conditions, the email and the username. If you have any user that is having this, if it matches with either of these condition, then I will return with user already exists. So this condition must be met. That's why I use or operator in MongoDB and the regex to also strictly find these conditions. So then let's go forward. After those conditions have been met, then there in the industry standard is for us to hash the password so that the password does not get exposed like this one when we are saving it into the database, so that anybody can have hold of the database and will not be able to see the password of anybody. So what are we going to do? We use pcrypt to hash this password. So it's one of the technology that I told you that I use, and I hash the password using sort of 10. So after doing that, I decide to save everything inside the database. So I'm saving the name, I'm saving though the password is going to be the hashed password, is not the one, is not going to be this one. So let's try to register a new user now. So after the registration has been done, when the registration is being done, so I generate a token which I save inside the token collection. Then after saving it, I send a link. I use the token and the user ID. That's the token and the user ID. I concatenate it with the front end URL and send it to the email address of the user that wants to create account for him to verify the email, so that in the nearest future, if you need to send email to the user, you know that you are sending email to email addresses are that does exist, so that we prevent anybody that doesn't verify his email cannot be able to log in and use the application. So let's go ahead and test this endpoint. So this endpoint, the registration is successful now. So we have a email verification link has been sent to your email address. So we are going to go to that email address now and check if that email has really been sent to the email address. So we are in the email now. So this is the email has been delivered to the email address. So you click on it. So before we verify the email address, let's reload this page and see that the user has been created. So when the user is created, we have this feed that says is verified and is a boolean, and initial, which is the default condition, is false. So when the user is verified, this condition will be changed to true. So already also you can see there is a token generated for the verification. So we save the token and the user ID. So when the person is verifying, we check inside this place, and if we have the token, we change that condition of is verified to true and also delete the token inside this place. So that's what this field is going to do. So this is the message email verification. So this is the email verification message. You see that it looks like what all these website normally send. They send it like this. So if you click this, thank you for signing up. To complete your registration, please click the button below to verify your email address. So if you click on this one, it's going to take you to the email verification page. Why you are having this is that why you are having this error is that the endpoint cannot be found, because normally browsers are by default a get request, and this endpoint is a post request, is expecting a post request. Let me show you the endpoint so that you can know. So this is the user verification endpoint. See, this is the user verification endpoint. It's expecting a post request. So and this the browsers normally is by default a get request. So what we can do in this situation is to just copy this the URL and come to Postman. You know, Postman, you have the opportunity to either change from get to a post request to a put request. So this is the email verification endpoint. We just paste it here and change it to a post request. I've pasted the link, and this is a post. So let's send and see what it's going to give us. So you see, user has been updated successfully. You can now log in. So the email verification process has been done. So let's go and check our database and see what's happening. So if we reload this token collection, you see that the token has been deleted from the database. And if you check the user now, you see that is verified, has been turned to true. So now we have tested about two endpoints now. Let me show you those endpoints that we have tested. We have tested the email verification endpoint. We have tested the registration endpoint also. Those are the two endpoints that we have tested. So we have tested the register endpoint. So the email verification endpoint is going to receive the user ID and the token from the params or that is coming from the request. So after collecting it, it's going to check, use the user ID and token as parameter to find if the token exists inside the database, and if it does not exist, it return with token does not exist and it stops there. So if the token exists, then we can go forward and update the user. So in updating the user, we use the ID to check, to find the user and set the is verified if is verified parameter to true. So then this condition is returning the updated user. So if we don't have the user updated, we return with this message that unable to update the user. Then after updating the user, we delete this await token exit dot delete one is going to delete the token from the database, and after that has been done, we return with this message to the front end for the front end to display it to the user. So say user has been updated successfully and you can log in then with a status of 200 and a success of true. So if there is any error during the process, this one catches the error and display the error message, which the front end can also display to the user. So we also, let's go to the login user endpoint so that we can test that one. So we have a user now. Let's test if the user can be able to log in. So before we test, let me explain the lines of code for you so that you can understand what we are going to see. So in testing this endpoint, the endpoint is expecting to receive the username and the password from the body of the request that is coming from the front end. So after receiving it, we trim the username to prevent spaces that might be added by the user. So we this line of code is creating a situation whereby we want to test if this true field is empty or not. So if it's empty, we return with this message that all fields are required. So we don't want empty string to be sent to the backend. So after that, we test if there is an invalid character in this username field. So now the username is Adenike Tolu. So I think the password is password. This is the password. So these two parameter is what we are expecting to check if the user exists and return with the user. So after checking all these field and confirming this that we are not having wrong um characters being sent from the front end, then we find the user using the username. So if you look at these lines of code, we are checking for the user and we are using regex in order for us to, some people, this username has what's it called, it has uppercase and lowercase letters, and we want to prevent a situation whereby the uppercase doesn't match with the lowercase. That's why we are using the regex, and with the option that is case insensitive. It's not going to be sensitive to any case. You can pick any case. The capital letter A is the same thing as small letter a. That's what that one implies. So if you don't find the user, we return with this message that invalid credentials. So we don't send, please don't send that username cannot be found to the front end, so that if there is a scammer that want to log in, you don't give them the hint of what is really happening, whether it is the username or the password that is not correct. So after that, we also compare the password that is coming from the front end, this password, with the hashed password. So you might want to be asking that, is this password is going to the any password that is hashed cannot be dehashed. So what really happen is that when you hash a password, it's going to be, if you hash it more than one times, it's going to have the same value. So this already hashed password, if you hash this one also and compare the two, it's going to have this equal value. So if they have equal value, that means bcrypto is going to return that this one is true. So when confirm password is true, then we continue. But if confirm password is not true, then we return with an invalid credentials also. and the web application stops there. So when the user has been found, the user exists is true, and we found the user exists, then we check if the user is verified or not. That's why I said if the user is not verified, you'll not be able to log in. So if user exists dot is verified is equal to false, then at that point we have to do some things. We have to check if there is a token for that user inside the token collection. If there is a token, then we use that token, the token and the user ID to also form another link, which we are going to use send it to the user's email address and tell the user to go and verify his email. So we send the email. This verify email function is being created inside our node mailer file that I showed you the other time. So it's expecting two parameters: the link, which is this link, and also the user email, which is this email address that we have put here. So after receiving it, it's going to take it to that function that we create and use it at the appropriate point which is supposed to use it. So then we return with this message to the front end for the front end to display to the user. And in case there is no token inside the database, we are going to generate a token with this feed using crypto. So after generate this token, we save the token inside the token collection, saving the token with the user that owns the token. We using the user ID. So then we use that two parameters that we saved inside the token to form the link again, and we send to the user, and we turn with this message to the front end for the front end to display to the user. So after that we have displayed that message. So then if that means we have exited this condition. After this condition this condition is if this is false, we do this, and if it is not false, that means it is true. That means the user is already verified. So then the next thing that we are going to do is to send the user details to the front end. So in sending user details to the front end, you cannot send all there are some fields that are sensitive that we are not expected to send by normal convention, which is the password is one of it. So in order for us not to send the password, we are going to destructure the user like this, the user document like this. We are going to remove the password, and other things that we want to send, we do it like this and send it to the front end like this. So then before we send, we generate a token that we are going to send as a cookie HTTP only to the cookie, so that why we are using HTTP only is because if you go to this page, you are going to see generate token. So you see res.cookie is going to we are giving it a name, and we send the function, the token that we have used JSON Web Token to sign here. We are sending it to the front end. Then we said HTTP only true, which means that it's not going to be accessible with JavaScript on the front end side. So that's what we are doing there. So it's only from the backend that we can access. Being made accessible for us in backend to prevent some attack being sent to the backend and from using those token to impersonate the person that owns the account. So then we log the user in. So if you are testing now, let's test. It's going to log the user in, but first of all, let us change this true to false. If you change this true to false, it's going to regenerate those link and send to the user and say that they should verify their email address before they can log in. Please verify your email. So if you now go to that same email address now, you are going to see another message. So if I go to the email address, you see this say the email has been sent again. You see 1 minute ago, that's the one that we are expecting, and you see the other one. This is the second one. This is the latest one that we just. So that's why we are seeing two email addresses. So I was supposed to wait for that one, as it has not come. So if we copy this one also. So before we do that, let's go to our database and check if we have token. So we have one token. So now if we now come to Postman, let's verify the user again. Because if without verifying that user, we cannot move forward. So let's verify the user again. After verifying the user, we can be able to move forward. So let me first of all delete this one and paste the new one that I just got. So and click on, when you click on send, it's going to verify the user has been updated successfully. So if we go back to the database, we are going to see that the token has been deleted and the user has been verified. So you see that user is verified true. And now let's try to log in again and see what's going to happen. So now we are going to the login user. Then after the login user, we click on send. We are going to see that it's going to login successful, status 200, success true. Then we have the user. The user does not have an image yet, but we have the username, the username, the email is verified is true. So it's returning the user without the user password. So then I want us to look at something. So let's click on this place and we click on cookies. So we see we have a cookie here, which is the token that we are sending. And if you look at something, it says HTTP only, which means it's only going to be accessible on the back end. You cannot use JavaScript to manipulate it on the front end. So that's what we are expecting from the login page, login endpoint. So let's test the logout endpoint and see what happens. So in the logout endpoint, we are going to grab the result cookie and change the mask age to just 1 millisecond, which is going to make it to expire immediately and is going to log the user out. So if you don't have the cookie, there is nothing you can do on the platform. So now let's see, we still have the cookie. If you see, we still have the token here. So when you now let's go to the logout endpoint. So when we log the user out, the cookie will be destroyed. Is going to be deleted. If we log out now, you got this user logged out successfully. So it's not going to be there again. You see, the local host cookie, the cookie has been deleted from this place. It has expired. We have tested the logout endpoint now. So in some situation we might have email verification mail sent and peradventure is not delivered. So what do I normally do in that case? I create another endpoint that can make user to request for another email verification link. So that endpoint is going to expect to receive email of the user from the request.body, and I make sure that the email is following and the email format. Then I will now use the email to find the user. So if I don't find the user, I return with this message. If not user cannot be found, I return with this message. But if I found the user, then I will check if the user is verified. That part, if it's true, then there is no point sending the resending the email verification link. So I will return with this message to the front end. So if this condition is not true, if that condition is not true, that means I need to resend the email verification link. So I will now check inside the token collection to see if that user has a valid token. So if there is a valid token, that's what the line 395 is saying. If there is a valid token, then use that token to generate a link that is going to email verification link that we are going to send to the user's email address. Then we are going to use this function, verify email function created using NodeMailer, to send the link to the user's email address. So this function is going to receive two parameters, the link and the email address of the user. So then I return with this message that the verification mail has been sent again to the user's email address. So but if there is no token, if this condition is not true, so then that's why we have this s function. So this is going to create another token, and we save the token inside the database. Then we use this token, new token dot token and new token dot user id to form this link and send to the user again, the user's email address again, and is going to return with this message. So if there is any error that subs inside the something, this one catches the error and displays the error to the front end. So if this condition is true, if this condition is successful, it will call the email verification endpoint. It's going to call this endpoint with the parameter of the user and the token of the user. So now let's retest this endpoint. So that's a resend email verification. This is the email of the user. So if I send now, it's going to send me, see, user already verified. But if I go and change this condition to false, if I want to test and see if that one is really working fine, I'll change this condition to false. I will update this, and the next thing I will try to test that endpoint by sending it again. If I send this to the endpoint again, you see it's going to send the email to the email address. See, please check your email to verify your email. So if I now go again, it's that same endpoint that is calling. You see the email has been sent to this email address. When I click on this, it's not going to work now. I will take it, I will copy it like this and go to Postman to also verify the email address again. I go to this endpoint, email verification endpoint, and I will do the verification there. I will paste it and send. So I will click on send like this. So you see user has been updated successfully. You can now log in. So and if I come to this and check, you will see that this source is going to turn to true. So that's it, true, and we don't have any token inside this place again. So I've tested the resend email verification. So it remains the forgot password, the endpoint. So let's test the forgot password endpoint. So this endpoint is expecting to receive the email address. I will check if the email address field is not returning, is not receiving invalid input for email address. I will, after that, if that condition is met, I will find the user using the email address. After finding the user, if I don't find the user, I return with this message. So after finding the user, I find if there is a token for that user. If there is a token for that user, I get the token. I use the token and the user ID and form this link and send to the email address of the user for change of password. So this function has been created inside NodeMailer and is expecting three parameters. It's expecting the link, it's expecting the email address, and it's expecting the username of that user. So why I'm putting the username is, when I'm testing, I will show you the reason I'm putting the username, so that I can personify the mail that I'll be sending by calling the name of the user. So after sending it, and I will notify the front end with this message, which they can display to the client. So, and if the token does not exist after this condition, which is else, if the token code does not exist, I will generate another token using crypto and save it inside the token collection. Then I use the token and the user ID to form this link, which I'm going to send the link again and the username, the email address to this function, and this function is going to send a message to the user, and I'm going to return with this message to the front end, which they can display to the user. And if there is any error, this cache function is going to catch the error and display the error to the I catch the error and display it to the front end. So now let's test the forgot password endpoint. So I click on send. So it's going to return with a message that password change link has been sent to your email address. So let's check the email address and see. So we have the message here. So if we click on it, if we click on this button that says change password, supposed to return with change token found. So when the token is found, is going to, let me do a bit of explanation here. This endpoint is, when I connect the front end, is going to call the front end and the front end URL plus this user ID and this token. So immediately it calls that page. When the page is loading, we will display loading, and the next thing, the front end is going to pick this URL, it's going to pick this user ID and the token from this URL. You see it here. This one is this one. So it's going to pick this one, and it's going to pick this one, and make an API call to the backend, still the page will be loading. So when it makes that API call to the backend, it's going to now call this endpoint that I call here. It's going to call this the endpoint, this allow reset password endpoint. It's going to call this endpoint and attach the user ID and the token with it, which is the direct endpoint I'm calling here. So when it calls that endpoint, I will do my checks and I will return with this message to him. So after returning with this message to the front end, now it's going to pick, the front end is going to pick these two parameters again. When picking these two parameters, it will use it to make the last API call. Because when I return with this message, the user will open the page of reset password page for the client. So when opening it, it will use these two parameters to make a call to the backend again for the, because that the third place. So it's going to the endpoint is going to be like this. If you see reset password and allow reset password, is only this allow that is not there. So if you copy this endpoint, if you copy it like this and come to postman, that's why I'm explaining, and come to postman for the to the reset password endpoint. So you come to the reset password endpoint at inside postman. So inside this endpoint, I will just paste that endpoint, but I will remove the allow that is there. I will remove this allow, and it's going to be able to call the reset password endpoint. So that's just the difference. You might decide not to put not to have the allow password endpoint, is not compulsory. So now you know the password of the user was before I think password at 6910. So I want to change it to Westlife as 2024. So now, when as I want to change it now, this I'll be receiving these two parameter from the front end, and also the these two feed input feed, and also the two parameter, which is the user ID and the token from the front end. So that's what this reset password endpoint is expecting. So this endpoint, that's what it is expecting: the new password, the confirm new password, and also the user ID and the token. Those are the things I'm expecting from the front end. So if I console log request dot params and request dot body, that's what you'll be seeing. So but if I send it like this now, after fulfilling all conditions, it's going to return with password updated successfully, status of 200, success true, and the user object. So let's send it now and see. So can you not found? Okay, sorry, why you are seeing not found is that, let's check the endpoint. Okay, reset password. Sorry, I put get here instead of post. That's why you are seeing not found. That's not found error. That's why you are seeing that error. Let it load back, and we try it again. And it's a post request, whereby whereas I'm calling it a get request. So let's send and see what it's going to give us. So see, message password updated successfully, status 200. So that's the message. It has sent the message and sending the user to us without the password. So now we will now go to login user. Let's try if that what we have just done has worked. So, and you will see that it has deleted the token inside the database. So if you reload this page, it's going to be 0. So it has deleted it. The password has already been changed, but let us test. This is the former password as 6910. So if we try to send, it's going to say invalid credentials. But now, if we now change the password to the new one, which is Westlife 2024. So if you click on send, it's going to log in the user. So it has successfully changed the password of the user. So we've tested the password, forgot password, reset password, allow reset password endpoints. So now I think we have, let me see the endpoints that we have tested. We have tested register, we have tested login, logout, resend password, resend email, forgot password, email verification, allow reset password. Now we can test, I think we can test update user profile. So let's try to update user profile and see how it's going to go. So now update user. So that update user endpoint is going to be a put request. So update user is going to be a put request. So let's try to update the user. So now if you are updating the user, we are going to get the user ID. Let's get the user ID from here so that we can update the user. This is the user ID. We'll copy and paste it here. So that's the ID and paste it here. So we have the user ID now. So also we need to put some parameters and update the user. So let's go to, I think now we can have feeds. Let's see the feeds that we are expecting. We are expecting the username. We are expecting the username. So the way I always handle this is to normally to when the user clicks on update, I will populate the feeds with the user information. So when after populating it, the user can be able to change those feeds that I allow them to change. Like for example, I don't normally allow users to change their on the update page. I don't normally allow them to update their username, I mean their email address on that place. So they will just see their email, but they cannot update it. So we are expecting the name. So what I normally do is I will just display the email so that it's going to be sent back to the backend, but it will not be able to be, they cannot update it. So now this feed is expecting the profile picture, is expecting the username. So let's call the username Adenike Tolu updated. Let me call it like this. The name, the expecting name, which is um so we have all the feeds now, the ones that I am updating and the ones that is coming from what we have inside the database. So now if I click on update now, let's see what is going to return for us. Malta index dot 4019. Okay, so what really happened now is that Malta is expecting this field that I call profile picture. The front end, I always call it file. So that's why Malta is complaining about that part. So now to test this endpoint, I can either change it here to file, or I change it here to profile pic like this, and let's test. So I'm already trying to build the front end, so that's why I change that place to file. So now I don't think he should complain about that Malta again. If at all it has another complaint, it should not be that one. So now I think it's already returning with message from the Cloudinary. So can you see now user profile updated successfully? So now we have the profile picture. Before we don't have the profile picture. So the response from Cloudinary always comes with this in object format like this. It will come with the URL of the image. It will come with the public ID of the image. This public ID is what we normally use to delete and destroy, which is delete the particular picture. If you want to update the picture, we delete this one and update it with the new one. So I also save the asset ID and the signature. So inside the database, which is what we are going to be needing to display when we want to display the picture of the we are using this URL. This is what we are going to display. So for example, if you want to confirm, let's try to copy this link and paste inside our browser so that you can see what is going to display. Now if I delete this one and I paste this, you see Cloudinary res.cloudinary.com. This is the image that I uploaded to Cloudinary. So this string is what we are going to be putting in any place that we want to display this image, and it's going to fetch this image from Cloudinary and display on that page. So that's just it. It has been saved inside the um, Cloudinary, and I have a folder for it. The name of the folder is Real Time Chat App. So this is the name of the folder, and this is the ID of this particular image inside the folder. So if you see that ID, that's you see this is it also. This is it. So it has brought the image. So let's check our database now and see what we have inside the database. So if we you see before, this is profile picture. It has only the default value. So now also you see the username is Adenike Tolu. So if we reload now, you see those two fields will change, and it's also going to have the third field, which is the content creator. So we have the username changed to Adenike Tolu updated. Then we have the profile picture now, which is going to be this URL, this object. So now we are through with updating the particular user. So after updating the user, what next? Let's check. I've updated the user. So we can go to get user profile. This get user profile is going to get a particular user. It's not the user that is logged in. You can get any particular user, on the social media application. If you search for a particular user, you are going to get it. You're using their username. This is it. You are using their username to search. So you are searching for their profile. So we are going to get this their particular profile and display to the user. That's what this endpoint is doing. So we only have these two endpoints left in this place: the follow and unfollow user, then the get user profile. So these two endpoints needs us to have multiple users inside the database. So as of now, let me test this. The username has changed. Let us try to log in as Adenike Tolu updated. So let's go to the login page and let's see what's going to happen if you try to log in with Adenike Tolu only. You see, it's not going to allow us to log in with these credentials. It's going to say, supposed to say invalid credentials. See, invalid credentials. So when we now say Adenike Tolu and say updated, so it's supposed to now log us in now as Adeshi login successful, and it fetches the user. So and the token will be there inside the cookie. So we have the token there. So now we are going to try to register a new user because we need multiple users to be able to follow and unfollow and to get user profile to test those last two endpoints. Let me put another name there. So let me use the same password. So now let's try to register this new user and let's see our database. See our database, this will change to two. You can see now we have two users now. So we have two users. Email verification link has been sent. So let's do that one quickly and be able to do the follow up. This place supposed to, this is the email. So can you see, please verify your email address. So click on verify email. User has been updated successfully. You can now log in. Status 200 successful. So now this user has been updated. We can also, let's try to also have another user. So this time around, let me use another name. We have multiple users now. So this particular user, the logged in user, let's check if we still have this endpoint. Doesn't necessarily mean that we should have a logged in user, but let's check if we still have a logged in user. So we still have a logged in user. So now let's try to now find a particular user. Using the search box or something, we type the name of the user, we pick it and we check where is it? Get user profile. So we are getting this particular user profile using the username as a parameter. So now let's go. So the username is the parameter that we are using. So now Adenike Tolu is the one that is searching now on his system. He wants to look for let's say Banky. Banky is the last person that just registered. So it's going to fetch Banky for us. See, user fetch successfully. So we have Banky here, Bankole Adebolu, we have it here. So if he's searching also for, let's say, Adeyoj, he's going to pick Adeyoj and it's going to display Adeyoj. Adeyoj, can you see? It's displaying Adeyoj to the front end. So, and apart from that, let's try to follow and unfollow user. So now we already have Adeyoj here. Let this particular user, which is um Adenike Tolu updated, let it try to follow um is going to try to follow Adeyot. So this endpoint, let me explain this particular endpoint to you, the follow and unfollow endpoint. So this endpoint is expecting the ID of the user that we want to follow from the params. Is expecting it from the request of params. So we are going to find the user with this, that's the user to modify. We are going to find the user, then we are going to find the current user. This current user is coming from the cookie that we sent into the header response, I mean the request, which is coming from with the request. So if these two things match, we cannot find these two parameters, we return that user cannot be found. So after that, we also need to check if the user that we want to follow and the current user, if they are the same, because a particular user cannot follow himself. So we return that you cannot follow yourself. Then after that, we create a variable which is following. Then we check if the current user is following that particular user. We check inside the following array, the array or the following array inside the current user. We have two arrays there, the following and the followers. We check inside the following if the current user is following that particular user using the ID of the user. If this particular ID is found inside the current user, if it's found there, we remove it. That is, we unfollow. This is the unfollow part. I'm tweaking it, this particular condition for the two. Instead of having two endpoints, I'm using this one particular endpoint for two purposes, to unfollow and to follow. So this part, if is following, that means if is following is true, then that particular user is in the following array of this current user. Then we pull it out, we pull that user out. That means we unfollow. So when we unfollow the user, we remove, when you pull the user out of the current user's following, then we also pull the current user out of the modified user's followers. There is an array for the followers of this particular person. We now remove this current user also from it. So after doing that, that's the end of that's unfollow. Both of them we unfollow each other. That's the two we remove inside those two arrays. So then if this condition is not true, that means if is following is false. That means they don't the array does not contain the ID of the modified user. Then we push the modified user inside the current user's following array. Then we also push the current user's ID inside the followers array of the user to modify. So that means they are following each other. This is the following part. So we do this when is not there. So after doing that, then we return with a message that user to modify dot name followed. So we return with this message if they follow, if we push, then we return with this message if we pull. We return with this message, user to modify dot name your username unfollowed. So we return with this message too. That's That's that for that. And if there's any error, we catch the error. So now let's come and try to do what we want to do. I've copied the user's ID, which is the ID that we are going to send as params, and I paste it here. So that's Ayodeji, Adeyo's ID. So if I send now, you see it's going to follow. So you see Adeyod followed. So Adeyod followed. Let's go and check. We check the two of them. Let's go inside the users. Um so this is Adenike Tolu updated. Let's check his following array. So you see that this is the ID of Ayodeji Adewolu, this ID. So if you go to the followers of Ayodeji, inside the followers, you will see the ID of Adenike Tolu updated 4C78. 4C78. So they are already following each other now. So then that's that about that. We are finished with this part of endpoint. So now I'm going to move to post routes. So we have the post controller, we also have the post route. So now Adenike Tolu may want to post. Okay, I can create post, get post, delete post, like and unlike post, reply to post, get feed post. So now all these endpoints apart from the get post endpoint needs the user verification for the such user to post the to make post or delete post or create post and things like that. So now let's go to test those endpoints. So for example, let's close this user route. Let's go to post routes. Then we have create post. So if you go to the uh, database here, we go to post. You see we don't have anything inside this place. So what we are going to do now is let's create a post so that we can start from there and know the next thing to do. So these are the endpoints I've created. If you have any job for me, I am ready for you. I can do this endpoint for you. I can also do the front end part with the little React knowledge that I have. Though I'm still learning React, but when it comes to backend um API creation like this, I think I am at intermediate level. So this endpoint, let's go guys to the what's it called? Let's go to the post controller and let me explain some things to you. So the create post endpoint is expecting minimum of two parameters and about three parameters. When you are creating when you are creating a post, you will have text, you will have the person that is creating that post, and you can have image is optional. So but text is not optional, likewise the posted by is not optional. So these two is coming from the request of body, we will be passing it through the body from the front end, and the image is coming from request.files, is going to come from the front end like that. So now this post that I want to create, I am not attaching any image. So this one I'm not attaching any image. So let's get the ID of the posted by. This ID of the posted by, you can either use it like this, or you can fetch it um from the cookie. But I decided to do it like this, and later inside the code I compared it with the one inside the cookie. So we have several ways that you can do it. Let's copy the ID here. Copy. Then we come to this place. Now paste it. So after pasting it, the text is I'm posting for the first time on this platform. Let's send and see if it's going to be created. So you see post created successfully through blah blah blah, posted by test and posting for. So now let's go inside the database and see the post collection if we have something there. So can you see we have something there and posted by. So this is the ID of Adenike Tolu updated. So now after posting, we have done the posting part. We can get post. So we want to get post. In getting post, what are we expected to pass? We need the ID of the post. So in this post that is created, let's check the ID of the post. So you see, this is the ID of the post. You will copy this ID and go to the endpoint that the get post endpoint is. You are when we now put the ID there, it's going to fetch this particular post for us. So, and it's going to be sent to the front end, which the front end can display to the um, client or the user that is accessing the post. So this endpoint doesn't need any what's it called, any authentication or so before, because you can search for people's posts. You can get posts without being logged in. That's what I'm trying to say. So post fetch successfully through. So this is the idea of the post. This is the person that posted the make the post. This is the text of the post. So inside this post we have likes. Is an array. So it's an empty array now. So if someone like this post, the ID of the person will come inside there. If the person replies, the person's ID and other information is going to be here, because those replies, you can see some replies on some platform whereby you see the reply. When you click on those reply, you will see the image of the person that's making that reply, which we can click on that image and go to the um profile information of that person. So those are the things that we are going to implement. So now after this get post endpoint, we also have delete post. So now before I test delete post, let me test like and unlike post, because if I delete, I will now create another post to continue with this one. So let's like and unlike post. So this particular like and unlike post is expecting the ID of the post. So let's go to, I still have the ID, so let's go to like and unlike. So here this endpoint, we are going to put the same ID that we use to fetch this get post. You can like your own particular post. So this particular person can like his post. So let me paste. So now if I send like this, you see that it's going to post liked. So see post liked. So if we now come to inside the database, let's check the post, let's reload and see the like array. You see this is the person, you see that is the person that created the post that liked it. So also let's do something, let's unlike this post. If we click again, it's going to check and see if the person has liked it. Is going to unlike the post. So if I click again, it's going to change from like to post unliked. So if you now go inside the database again and also check inside this and reload this page, you see if you check this like, it's going to be empty. So now I also want us to do something. Let me like it. So I will now log out and log in as another person and also like it, so that you can see that we have so many people. If I try to like it now, it's not going to allow me. Please log in to continue. That's because I deleted that token inside the cookie. So let the new user log in. Let me log in as Adeyod and see and try to okay, no, let me log in as Banky, so that I've used Ayodeji Banky. So I've used Ayodeji the other time. So I think the password is not correct. Yeah. So if I click on send now to log in, so it's login successful. So now if you check, the cookie is already there. The token is inside the cookie. So now let's go to what's it called? Let's go to like and unlike post. So if but before, let's check our database. Let's reload and you see that we have one like here. So see that we have one like here. So now if you now come to this like now, this part, that same post, you want to like it, but now is another person that's logged in. So if we send, it's going to say post liked. So if you now come to the database, We can check. Let's reload this place. If you click on likes, you see that we have two people that has liked it now. The owner of the post and this person, Banky, has also liked it. So now Banky can decide to unlike. It will now remove the Banky from there. So now that is that. Let us reply to post. So Banky can reply to make a reply to post. So now if I click on reply to post, um I've done okay. We reply to post, we now delete post and stuff like that. So we are still going to make if you make a reply, you should be able to delete your reply, update your reply and stuff like that. But the present point I get to, I just want to test this endpoint so that the something will not be too big, the video will not be too large for me to do at once. So now let me change this endpoint is expecting reply to post. So this endpoint is expecting the text, the post ID, the user ID, which I am getting the user ID from the token inside the cookie. I'm getting the post ID from the parameter. You see this one. Then I'm also getting the text from the body. So these are the three things that I need. I am replying to Adeni Adenike Tolu updated um posts. So let me do it this way. Then also if you come to params, you will see I will add inside this params, I will add the ID of the post. So let's do it this way. This is the particular post. I will add the ID of the post, which is this one. I will put it inside this place. So that it can fetch it control. So I've put the something. So those are the three things needed. So if I click on send now, let's see what it's going to return. Message reply added successfully, success true, status. So this is the post. This is the posted by, this is the test. So it's going to see the likes. Two people liked it. You see the replies. So this reply now is an array, which is this person Banky has liked it, has replied. So the username of the person that replied, we return it. We return the profile picture, which can be displayed beside the person that like it. So we return the user ID. So peradventure you inside the our application in the front end, we display this one. We now want to click on the image to get the profile details of the person. We can fetch this one and use it to make an API call to the backend to fetch all the information of the user and populate it to the front end. So those are the things that we can do. So now we have replied to this message. So also the person can also reply, as the application gets bigger, we can also reply to this particular reply. You can make reply to this particular reply, so it gets bigger like that. So now we have done reply posts. We have we are left with delete post and get feed post. So for example, this delete post is expecting the ID of the post. Then it will fetch the post. It will check if the person that posted the make the post is the one that wants to delete. So for example now, this is the post. Now let me copy the ID and go. This person is not the person that created this post. So let me make an effort to delete the post, which this user is not the person that created the post. So let me paste like this and click send. You see it's going to return unauthorized to delete post. That is because I'm not the one that created this post. It doesn't make sense for you not to create a post and be the one to want to delete the post. So now what do I do if I want to delete the post? I will now let's delete the cookie here and log in as the person that created the post. So now if I now that there is no cookie, if I try to send, it will return with please log in to continue. So now let's go to the user and go to login user. So if we get to login user, we can log in as um Adenike Adenike Tolu Adenike Tolu updated. So now let's change the password because this is not the password. That's where's not so now if you click on send, let's see, it's going to log the user in. So now if you now go to delete post, we can now go to delete posts. If you go to delete post now, it's going to delete those the post. So I will I will still have to create more posts to test the get post feed. So this is the post that I want to delete. So if you click on send now, since it's the person that owns the post, it said post deleted successfully and it's returned with this information. So if you now go to the post, um, what's it called? The posts um collection, we will see that we don't have any post again. So now to test the what's it called? The get feed post, I will quickly create many posts like 3 posts and try to get those posts. So let's say create post. So now if you go to the post collection, you see we have 6 posts. Can you see now we have 6 posts with for different people. So what I now want to do now, let's test the get feeds post. Let me first of all explain. This post is going to take the user ID of the person logged in from the cookie. So after it's going to fetch the user, after fetching the user, it's going to fetch those that follow the user. So after fetching those that follow the user, it's going to fetch the it's going to go to the post collection and fetch the post of those that followed the user. You see that feed post normally comprises of posts that of your followers, the ones that you are following. So now this is what we are going to fetch and we are going to arrange it in based on the time it's being created. The last one being created, which is the latest one, is what is going to be at the top. That's what this created at -1 is doing. So now presently Banky doesn't have followers. So let's check and see. I don't think Banky has followers. So this is Banky. He doesn't have any following. Neither does he have followers. So now let Banky follow, let's say Banky follows Ayodeji now. If you look at this Ayodeji, you see that Ayodeji has 1 follower. Let's say Banky now follows Ayodeji again. So let's copy. Let's go to follow. Um follow should be inside this place. Go to follow. We are inside follow now. So control A, control V. So Ayodeji is still there, so I've forgotten. So if you click on send now, you see it's going to Ayodeji followed. So that means he has followed Ayodeji. So let's go inside this database and refresh this place. This is Adenike. So let's go to Ayodeji. Let's check his followers. You see that they are now 2. So let's go to the following of Bankole. Ayodeji is there. So now if we try to fetch the post feeds and the feed post of um Banky. So it's going to fetch the post of Ayodeji because they are following each other. So now let's go to get feed posts. So after clicking that, let's see what happens. This one doesn't, he only needs to be logged in. So if he's not logged in, he cannot fetch. So he must be logged in for us to be able to fetch his the user post. If not, say, please log in to continue. That's what this one is going to say. You're going to let's click on feeds. So let's see. You see, feeds fetch successfully. So now you can see that feed post is an array. So this is returning to post. You can see that the post have posted by is the same. So let's check the person who make this post. This is 402C. So if you come to this place and check who has 402C, let's see. You see 402C. So it's Ayodeji because Ayodeji is one of is because Banky is following Ayodeji. Banky is one of the followers of Ayodeji. That's why you are seeing it there. So these are the endpoints that I have that I've tested. So I think you have enjoyed this video. Kindly support me by subscribing to my YouTube channel and also following me on other social media platforms that I have, as I'm going to see you in my next video. Thank you.